The fight for Blackpool is seriously on as the top eight all competed to gain a spot in the all-important and very exciting Blackpool week, which is a theme where everyone is excited for, and of course, everyone wants to go to. Of course, I mean, it's in the Blackpool Tower, of course. Anyways, we had the top eight all competing to gain their spots in there. It was a fantastic episode with some fantastic routines, and we had, in my opinion, the most shocking elimination so far this series. I think of the whole series without question, because this person was on the top of the leaderboard the previous episode, but then basically ended up being eliminated, which I was not expecting. Anyways, we've got a lot to talk about in this week's recap and review for Sure to Come Dance in 2025. So let's get straight into this week's review. So I don't know if you guys know by now, if you've heard the news, but unfortunately, Lavoie will not be able to compete for Blackpool Week because she's had an injury, but she's been given a bye week. So hopefully, we see both Lavoie and Aliash perform in the not the upcoming episode, but the following episode. So fingers crossed for that. As you know, of course, I'm absolutely gutted about, because Lavoie is I just think is absolutely fantastic. So I'm gutted for both Lavoie and Alesh, and hopefully we can see them perform again next week. So anyway, so with that out of the way, so it was the top eight for Strictly Come Dancing, where we had the top eight all competing to gain their spots in Blackpool, which is a theme everybody wants to go to, because the Blackpool Tower is just absolutely incredible. And it was a fantastic episode. Some great routines in there, some great scores in there. Some I actually kind of disagreed with, but overall it was fantastic. And of course, I mentioned at the start, we had a very shocking elimination this episode, which we'll get on to right in just a few minutes. But I think we should just get straight into this week's review, because I know that I am rather late to this. I apologize. So kicking off the night, we had Balvinda and Julian, who did The American Smooth to My Guy by Mary Wells. So when I first found that song, I was like, do I even know the song? But when I started listening to it during this routine, I was like, oh yeah, I know this song. Like, it's one of those songs I've heard so many times before, but don't know where. Like I've heard I've heard the music to it. So, like somewhere, I think in TV adverts on TV, but can't exactly remember where though. Which yeah. So that was that. They got a score of 27 overall, and I would have given this a 7 myself. And but this is definitely the type of American Smooth I really enjoyed, and I loved the whole whimsical, floaty, cherry blossom happiness. It ticked all the boxes for me. There was a taxi there, that which I liked, and I do think this was a really nice performance, a good start to the show. I really enjoyed the routine. I loved how it was very well executed with her storytelling, and she definitely seemed more comfortable in this performance, and she let herself go, and you can tell she was really enjoying herself. And I love Julian, I love Belle. I just think they're both fantastic together, and yeah, and again, and also this is her fourth time in the dance off. I don't remember anyone who's been in the dance off 4 times, which I was quite surprised about. Like, I hope she doesn't get into the bottom two again, because it could be lights out for her if that happens again in for Blackpool week. But I do think this was a bit. Craig scored this a bit too low. I myself would have given this a 7. It deserved a 7, but overall it was a really nice start to the show, and I really enjoyed it overall. Next up, we had Amber and Nikita, who performed the Paso Doble to Dream On by Aerosmith, which, I mean, that is an absolute iconic tune. And if you haven't seen the TV show Glee, you'll know that both Matthew Morrison and Neil Patrick Harris performed that song on Glee. And let me tell you, it is absolutely outstanding. If you've seen it, let me know in the comments, because as someone who's a huge fan of Glee, that for me is one of the best performances on that show. Just them doing that song, it's absolutely insane. It's like, and the range they do it in, it's outstanding. But we got to talk about this performance. So they did the Pass It Over to Dream On, Aerosmith, again, a fantastic song, incredible. Steven Tyler, absolute legend. And this, I have to say, so they got a score of 38 overall. I would have given this a 10 myself. This was absolutely made for a performance to get to Blackpool, without a question. I believe this is the first time Amber's topped the leaderboard. and because I know Lewis has been in the lead quite a bit on the board throughout the whole week. So he's been top of the leaderboard, but it looks like Amber has got the top spot this episode, which I'm just so happy for her. And that, I mean, this is a song you have to do well. I mean, especially that song, especially at the end with Steven Tyler, where he does that really high, that rocks falsetto you hear. But I was just captivated by everything. Nikita is just an absolute genius for creating this routine, and the connection they have together, the way they perform together, the intensity, the drama, everything about this performance was amazing. And by the way, Nikita was really showing off with him not having any chest on. That was without a shirt. That was pretty interesting to say. He must have had some ideas from Harry last time. I'm just saying. But my goodness me, this was just absolutely fantastic performance. And honestly, their best, without question. I think the best performance of the night. I think it was just one of the best performances of the night. At least they were just outstanding, just incredible, absolutely fantastic. Next up, we had Alex and Johannes doing the waltz to "Weekend in New England" by Barry Manilow. And again, Barry Manilow, I love his music, I love his voice, and that is definitely one of my favorite songs. By Barry, and they got a score of 35, and I would have given this a 9 myself. I mean, looking at this performance back to a previous one where she didn't do too well, this is how you fight back from a not so good performance. And she nailed this performance. We haven't seen many waltz on the series, but this one was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love the whole scenery that it was set in. It's set in the park as well. We've got some trees there. It's a very nice representation to an autumn day where you see all the leaves falling down, all orangey and beautiful and stuff. And wow, this was just absolutely beautiful. And by the way, I don't normally, I'm no expert at dancing, and I don't even if I try, I don't know many of the terms, but her footwork was absolutely beautiful from Alex. And Johannes, he was also fantastic. She had some great. Her posture was right. The way she had her hips were correct, and the swivels, the spins, it was absolutely just captivating to watch. I think this is, for me, her best performance she's done in the competition, and obviously, way to go, Alex. What a way to bounce back from being in the bottom two. It was just absolutely fantastic to watch. Amazing. Now we go on to this week's eliminated couple, which was, and honestly, I am absolutely shocked by this. And it was Vicky and Kai who did the jive to Some of the Underground by Girls Aloud, and they got a score of 27, and I would give it a 7 myself. It wasn't her best performance, in my opinion, but man, I was honestly shocked when she when she actually was eliminated, because okay, if we had to base it on this performance alone, this was definitely not her best. I felt like she was a bit heavy in the legs. She seemed quite tired early on, and I could definitely see. I could see her. She was quite flat-footed at times. There were some mistakes. I thought she recovered quite well, but thinking about it at the same time, this is the exact same person who got a score of 39 the previous week with her tango, almost a perfect score, and now Vicky's eliminated, and I'm shocked by that. I mean, of course, fair play to Balvinda and Julian. There's no hatred towards that. You've got to base it on the performance, and it was outsing. It wasn't their best performance, but my gosh, I was still at the same. Even thinking about it, I did not expect her to go home at all. It wasn't on my bingo card in the slightest, but yeah, I really was quite shocked by this. But at the same time, I can understand it because it wasn't her best performance. But I have to say, Vicky has been an absolute joy to watch this series. I think Kai has been absolutely brilliant with her. So yeah, it really was just a great. It wasn't her best performance. I'm not denying it wasn't her best performance, but it was still good, but just not her best. But at the same time, I am gutted actually she's gone. I really am gutted that she is um that she's gone. I really am just. I really enjoyed her, but hey, she's unfortunately eliminated, and that's how the competition works. We have to move on to the next stages now. So, but she was a joy to watch. And Vicky, if you see this review, I just want to let you know that you were fantastic, girl. You were just amazing. Next up, we had Karen and Carlos doing the American Smooth to "You Don't Own Me" by Leslie Gore. A bit of a different American Smooth, I think. But so they did it to Leslie Gore. Is that her name? I need to find out actually a bit later on. But I think it's Leslie Gore. That's her surname. It's Leslie something. I know that. But they got a score of 31, and I would have given this a 7 out of 10 in my opinion. And you know, I honestly, wow. I mean, I have to say, this performance I thought was once again an absolutely fan. It was absolutely brilliant. Seeing where she is now. We first saw her with the Jive performance all those weeks ago. She got a 10 on her Argentine tango a few weeks ago. She got a 10 on her Charleston. Now doing this, the American Smooth. Wow, wow, wow. She's had just an unbelievable journey. I mean, this type of dance is extremely challenging, especially with her posture. She nailed it. I thought she nailed it. I do think some of the they feel it was, just, I mean, honestly, she just blows me away. She's blown me away every single performance she's done. And Carlos, my goodness me, what a dude you are. I must admit, I was a bit worried that it would be not so good, but watching it, I thought it was amazing. It was powerful, it was dramatic, it was entertaining. My goodness me, this was a fantastic routine. Definitely one of my favorites of hers so far. I think the top one is still her Argentine tango she did for was it Icons Week that she did it, or was it? I can't remember when she did the Argentine tango. Now it was the Halloween episode. It was the Halloween episode, I believe. Yeah, was it the Halloween? I just double checked. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Yeah, it was. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Had to think where it was there. But yeah, this was a fantastic performance, and I really enjoyed it. Again, she's definitely someone I could easily see as a possible finalist. If we have some shocking eliminations, I could easily see her making her way there because this was just fantastic. Next up, we had probably the most emotional performance of the night, and that was George and Alexis doing the rumba to "Somewhere Only We Know" by Keane, which is, I mean, what an absolute belter of a tune that is. It's an amazing song. Is it Tom Part? What's his name? Tom Keane that's his name. I can't remember the lead singer. It's Tom something. Tom Keane, I think his name is. I'm terrible at names today. I don't know why. But they did it to the Lily Allen version, which is very cool. I love that. I love the Lily Allen version as well. And they got a score of 29 from the judges. I thought it was a bit harsh, especially Craig. He was a bit harsh on this routine, in my opinion. But I have to say, before we get into the actual dance routine, hearing George's story was really emotional. Talking about his mum, his mother, battling cancer, and you could just tell that song and dance meant a lot to him. You know, so that was really something. That was beautiful, and so that was a beautiful story there. And the routine itself, it was I thought it was so beautiful to see a more vulnerable side to him. And I mean, to an extent, I can agree with what Craig was saying in terms of this dance not being a rumba, but in terms of the moves we saw, the emotions of this dance, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was. I can understand why Craig said it wasn't a rumba, because I don't think it had that rumba essence to it. But I think this would have been more fitting for a couple's choice. I can agree to an extent, but wow, it really was just beautiful. The storytelling was beautiful. I could honestly feel the emotion in the room watching it on the TV. It really was absolutely fantastic, and just seeing them perform together was truly something magical. And it really was just, I think, one of the most emotional performances I've seen this series of his, and I think one of his best performances. If I'm honest, I thought it was fantastic, and I thought it was a great performance overall. And again, I think if he can still continue on the same trajectory, I could easily see him being a finalist. And maybe winning. I mean, I don't know about winning, but I could definitely see him getting the audience votes, the public vote, his supporters, the online fan base. You know what they're like these days. So, yeah, I could definitely see him doing well for a few more weeks. I would love to see him be a finalist, but wow, this really was a beautiful performance to watch. I absolutely loved it. Now we go on to Lewis and Katya, my favourite dance couple in the competition, and they still are ever since week one. And they did the tango to 12 by Samba. I do not know that song whatsoever. And they got a score of 37. And I, with Motzi, um, I would have given this a 10 myself. It was just breathtaking. I mean, every routine they've done has been absolutely incredible. I mean, my gosh, Lewis. Oh, I know I know I sound like a broken record saying this, but my God, Lewis is just he is just outstanding. Like, I don't know what else to say. I love when a choreograph is full of style instead of these like tricks and essence. Excessive things. This was just absolute perfection from the very beginning to the very end, and we've seen that from him every single time he has performed ever since the first performance all those weeks ago. He absolutely blew me away with his jive to the Temptations, and I was like, wow, he's got some serious moves. And seeing where he is now, he got another 10, and wow, you know, oh, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't know, I don't know what else to say, other than both these two are just absolutely brilliant. It was just an exceptional routine. And I've said this before, I think I said this in the Halloween week, that between Katya and Lewis, you couldn't tell who was the professional and who was the celebrity. You couldn't tell because I think both of them are equally as incredible. So that this was just, again, I think along with Amber and Nikita, this was one of the best performances of the night. And again, I for me, he's now I want him to win so badly. I'm sorry, but I want this guy to win more than anyone, and I would be truly gutted if he didn't, because he, for me, deserves this win. He deserves this win, absolutely. And I just really hope he does win because he's just outstanding. And finally, we had Lavoie and Aliash doing the couple's choice to "Rain on My Parade" by Barbra Streisand from the musical Funny Girl. Now, I just want to, just before I talk about the performance, I just want to, I just want to talk about Lavoie, and just, I just want to put the Lavoie persona just for just aside, just for one set, just for a couple minutes, and I just want to talk about Chris, because my goodness me, what an absolute beautiful soul he is. Hearing him, hearing Chris, talking about in his VT about his mother who passed away in April. It really choked me up, and seeing how he got into drag is just. It was really quite emotional to see him. And of course his dad was there. He got a bit quite emotional, and just, I mean, it really was just so like heartwarming to watch. And you could just tell what a sweet human being, what a lovely guy Chris really is. And I think him playing this Lavoie character, being Lavoie, has really opened doors for him, to be honest, to be him and just to do what he loves doing. And I just think that's absolutely beautiful of him. So he did so they did Don't Rain on My Parade. It started off with just Chris without his Lavoie makeup on, and then it transformed into him, and then it turned into Lavoie, and they did the routine, and wow. This was just full of fun, sparkles, showmanship. Barbra Streisand is not an easy artist to do, and she's got an absolutely phenomenal voice, and of course, fair play to the singers who did that, and it was just everything. This performance was just everything I love seeing from Lavoie and Aliash, and I love seeing the couple's choice because you get to see a side for them, like we saw with Lewis and Katya, like with Ellie and Vito. Moments like this and performances like this is what I love. Just yet to see a side to them, and just it was amazing. And I'm gutted that both of them aren't going to be on Blackpool this week, but I of course very excited and hoping that they are able to return for the next episode, because I just think they're absolutely fantastic together. And yeah, I just think this was an amazing performance overall. So there you have it. That is week 8 for Strictly Come Dancing 2025. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What were your thoughts on week 8? And again, Blackpool is the next episode, which I'm so excited about, because I think we all know Blackpool has been the one everybody's been hyped about, and seeing 6 of them going there. Unfortunately, Laval won't be there, of course, but I cannot wait for Blackpool. It's going to be just amazing. I can already visualize how amazing the the venue is going to be. It's just going to be incredible, and again, I cannot wait to see it go down, because I just think it's going to be amazing. And who do you think is going home next week? Because now we have, Stefan had to drop out, and Lavar won't be on this episode. So I don't know. Could there be a possibility where they have a non-elimination episode? Do you think Blackpool Week could have a non-elimination? Because I'm personally hoping it does. Because I think I just think it'd be fairer, and also we could hopefully get at least a 3 or 4 person final, because I wouldn't like the idea of having a 2-person final, which only happened back in 2021 because AJ Adudu actually withdrew from the competition just before the final, which was unfortunate. So that was understandable, but I want to see a 4-person final, because I would love to see Lewis, George, Amber, and Karen there as well. To be honest, I would love to see those guys in the final, if there is a final 4, because I think Lewis is definitely the biggest lock to make it there. I think George will get the votes, and Amber, I think, has got a good shot of making it through as well. But you never know what happens with Strictly. Hopefully they listen to this and they make a decision to have a non-elimination for Blackpool. But that's all for me. Thank you so much for listening to my review on Strictly Come Dancing week 8. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you thought about the episode. But once again, thank you so much for listening to my review on Strictly Come Dancing this week. And of course, I will see you guys next time.